Welcome back to the 6th Round Podcast with your host, Izzy and Mad Dog. Mad Dog, how are you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. How about you, sir?
I'm alright. You know, UFC Japan 2 kind of fucked me over a little bit, but I guess it fucked every gambler. How'd you do yourself?
I didn't really get on picks. Actually, I broke down all the fights pretty much down to the T where I wanted it, but I could not have done any worse on bets. I only won one bet. It was horrific how things could go so well and so wrong at the same time.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. But yeah, this podcast is going to be a little bit different. We'll do the prelim picks and bets on this video, and then we're going to have another video for the main card. That way, people who just want to listen to the main picks, they can do that, and it'll also help us out with the format. So let's just get started. The first fight on UFC 158's prelims on Facebook is George Roop versus Ruben Duran. George Roop's coming in as the slight underdog at plus 115. Ruben Duran's minus 135. Now this fight's at 135. Interesting note is George Roop is 6'1". What are your thoughts on this fight, Mad Dog?
Roop's coming in with a huge reach advantage, but both these guys, this whole card kind of has a weird theme to it. As we know, Dana just said they have an excess of 100 fighters, and that 100 guys are basically fighting for their jobs. And this card isn't a perfect example of so many people on the chopping block. I think this is one of them. I think whoever loses this fight is going to get cut from the UFC. George Roop, he has a losing record in the UFC. Ruben Duran's currently 1-2 in the UFC. And it really comes down to who wants it more, who wants to keep their job. And Roop coming in with the reach advantage, definitely, I think a slight striking advantage. I mean, he's got a really mean head kick. He's the only guy to knock out the Korean Zombie, if that doesn't tell you anything. But he's got a really rough record, 12-9. He's been around the block, and he hasn't fought in 14 months. I mean, last time he fought, I think it was Cut Swanson who knocked the shit out of him. And we'll have to see how that psychologically plays into it. I usually don't bet people who are coming off that long a layoff and somebody who's coming off that bad of a knockout loss, especially against a guy like Ruben Duran who's tough as nails, and he has a rear naked choke win over Francisco Rivera, who's a brick shit house himself. And I just don't want to go anywhere near this fight. I'll be enjoying it as a fan.
Yeah, same here. I don't really see any value either way. Ruben Duran's last fight, he lost against Hugo, and he was off for a year and a half also. So, I mean, Ruben is a lot tougher, so he's a little bit more compact, obviously. So, I mean, I'm leaning towards Ruben, and I'm not gonna bet it, but I'm taking Ruben to win the fight.
I'm a big Roop. Stay on the outside.
All right. Moving on to the next fight on the prelims Facebook, bantamweight fight between TJ Dillashaw versus Issei Tamura. Dillashaw's coming as the heavy favorite at minus 650. He's 6-1 overall and 2-0 in the UFC. Tamura is 1-1 in the UFC. Give us your breakdown, Mad Dog.
Well, Dillashaw coming out of the record 6-1. His only loss to John Dodson by vicious knockout, and he actually trains a team alpha male with Uriah Faber. He's really good, close friends with them, and it really shows in his style because he is a wrestler. He makes no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He may take a jab or two, but it's all for the takedown to get on top and hit you for 15 minutes. That's what he does. And he is the heaviest favorite on the card. I think it's rightfully so. Tamura, coming at the underdog at plus 475. I wouldn't bet him. He's 2-3 in his last 5 fights. He does have knockout powers, so could he finish the fight? Yes. But does he have the takedown defense and the bottom defense, the ability to stand back up? I don't think so. I think we're going to see at the beginning of each round, Tamura trying to hit Dillashaw, and Dillashaw basically taking him down and holding him there and hitting him in the face for 5 minutes until the bell sounds.
Yeah. I mean, TJ Dillashaw, being an NCAA Division I wrestler, we know what he's going to do. He's a Team Alpha Male member, so obviously those guys, his submissions, he beat Vaughan Lee, which is one of my favorite fighters, with a neck crank in the first round, which is really impressive to me. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Dillashaw gets a submission in this fight also. So, I'm obviously picking him to win. Again, no bet on my side. Next fight is Rick Story versus Quinn Morrow. Rick Story is 7-4 in the UFC, and Quinn is making his UFC debut. So, who do you have in this one, Mad Dog?
This is a really good one. Rick Story is the second largest favorite on the card, coming at negative 420. I also think he's fighting for his job. He's got a record of 14-6. He's 1-3 in his last 4, and yet they still kept him around. And coming off of that horrible first, it's the first time he's ever been finished. He's never been finished until his last fight against Damian Maia. And this is a guy that's been around the block. He has wins over Hendricks, who's in the co-main event. He has wins over Ellenberger, who's on the main card. He has a win over the former number 1 contender, Thiago Alves. I mean, he's a really tough guy, great wrestling. He's the only use his wrestling advantage to keep it standing, use his power, he's got big power in his hands, although it doesn't necessarily finish. But I see Rick Story easily running out of the decision here.
Yeah, agreed. Again, I don't really have any bets for the undercard, so this is just a pick. Rick Story. At the next fight now is moving on to FX. Also on the prelims, John Makdessi versus Darren Cruikshank. Cruikshank coming in as the slight favorite at -120. Makdessi is +100 right now. Darren is 2-0 in the UFC. John is 3-2 in the UFC. So who do you have in this fight?
This fight is very interesting because like this card itself, this fight's almost an embodiment of this card. There are so many what ifs. John Makdessi trains at TriStar with some of the best from Canada, and there's a lot of guys from TriStar on the card tonight. But really what we've seen from him is that he's a solid stand-up fighter, and he has been working on his ground game a lot. But in his fight against Dennis Hallman took him down, pounded on him for 2 minutes, and then choked him out, no sweat. Makdessi didn't even throw a punch, much less land a punch. And he has worked to improve it, but how much improvement can you make in such a short period of time, especially if you've been a striker your whole life? And coming against Darren Cruikshank, I actually was at Cruikshank's last fight in Seattle. I got it was the 4th row, got to see in person, knocked out Henry Martinez. That was an awesome fight. But Cruikshank brings 2 things to the table that are good and bad in my opinion. If he shouldn't stand and bang, the bad thing is he has in the past had a very weak chin. Vic knocked him out in the Ultimate Fighter with a knee. He put in a very first Ultimate Fighter win. UFC win, he beat Chris Diggle. Chris Diggle dropped him. He's known for having a pretty poor chin, but he also brings in wrestling. He's a Division III wrestler. He shoots these power doubles where he lifts his opponent off the ground and drives into it. And I think that could be the difference. If he chooses to stand, I think he's a little bit quicker. He's been doing Taekwondo since he can walk, so he's got beautiful striking. But if he's going to play it smart, I think Darren's a huge advantage in the wrestling and the ground game.
Are you confident enough to bet him?
Not yet. I'm waiting for Lance. See how they look.
All right, then.
Most of Steve Makdessi makes he looks. It's more of a question.
Yeah, true. All right, moving on. The next fight on the FX prelims is Dan Miller versus Jordan Main, and Dan Miller's coming as the underdog. Actually, a pretty moderate underdog at +255. Jordan's -310. Jordan's making his UFC debut while Miller has a 6-5 UFC record. He has wins over people like Palhares. Actually, the only people he's lost to, my bad, I can't read my own fucking writing. He's only lost to Palhares, Nate the Great, who's on the main card, Bisping, Maya, and Sonnen. So, do you agree with the line, the way that it is right now?
I do for a few reasons. As most people know, hardcore fans, Dan Miller's had a lot of family problems in the past. He's had a lot of personal things going on with his family, and all hearts go out to him. But, this is his second fight at welterweight, and he choked out Punch, which is, woo. You entered the octagon, you were supposed to win. But, he has had such a rough run lately, and he's not the same fighter at 170. He's never been finished, obviously, and as you stated, he's faced top competition. He's fought some of the best in the world enough to finish. But that extra weight cut is definitely going to be a factor, especially coming against Jordan Main, who's this Canadian kickboxer and one of the most touted new figures to come out of Canada. Another strike force guy. This guy's stand-up is ridiculous, and there are people who think that Miller is the dog on the card to bet. And I don't know, because really his only realistic chance of winning is to get to the ground. He has cards for days, but I like to see how long his chin lasts against Main, because this guy can hit. He's really good. I'm going for Main, hands down.
Yeah, so I really don't want to bet that fight. Like I said before, I'm not betting any fight on the prelim. So I guess the people who want to take a stab at Dan at +255, you can, but I would stay away from it.
Well, people are comparing it. Tyron Woody took down me and manhandled him for 15 minutes. So Dan Miller can definitely do it. Dan Miller is not Tyron Woody. Okay, T-Wood is a beast. He is a monster. He's stronger. He's faster, and he's built for this weight class. It's not comparable.
No, okay, well, some people agree, others disagree. So, next fight is on a featherweight fight, the only featherweight fight on this entire card. Antonio Carvalho versus Darren Elkins. And Elkins is the favorite at -210. Antonio is +175. He is 2-1 in the UFC. Elkins is 5-1 in the UFC. 6 KOs and 6 decisions with 3 subs. Who do you have in this fight? I can already guess. Elkins.
Oh yeah, like they should, because it's got to be Elkins. Elkins is a beast. This guy's only lost in the UFC is to Bill Bronx by armbar because he was a much smaller fighter. Just moving to 145, he's easily a top 10 fighter. I mean, this guy has wins over Pat Kern. He beat Diego Brandao when I didn't think he had a chance. Diego hit like I can't even describe it, like a meteor hitting the earth when he hit something. And he smacked Elkins' head around like a speed bag in the first round. And he came back and beat the crap out of Diego for 10 minutes after that. It was unbelievable. And then his last fight against Steven Styler, he showed he played his wrestling against a guy like Styler, who was really starting to come into his element. He was really becoming this big fighter that everybody's taking notice to. Elkins just shut him down. That being said, Antonio is a monster. His knockout of Daniel Pineda was unbelievable. That fight, if you ever want to see a fight that lasts about a minute and a half, and it's just ends brutally, watch that fight. But yeah, he also has a win over Hotsui Elkins, so he has fought top grapplers and come out on top. But I think Elkins is just way too much to handle. He's got a really solid chin. If Diego can't knock you out, I think Antonio's going to struggle to knock him out. But Diego landed. And this so far is my only play that I'm waiting, that I haven't waited for the weigh-ins. Everything else I'm waiting for the weigh-ins, and if you want to hear my plays, follow me on Twitter. But right now my only play is Elkins in the distance at plus 541. It's not a large play, but it is very possible. And for him to finish at plus 541, although he is a grinder and a wrestler and is known for decisions, I really think that's not a bad bet at all.
Yeah, agreed. I'm also taking Elkins, and I might consider that bet. Like I said, I have no bets, so maybe that's a good one that I'll take in tomorrow or Saturday in the morning. Our last fight on the prelims is the fight between Patrick Cote and Bobby Volker. Now, originally Patrick was supposed to rematch Alicio Sakara, but Sakara pulled out. I think it was like an anal stress. I think no, it was actually something something with his kidneys. So yeah, so Patrick Cote, he's 6-7 in the UFC. Bobby's making his UFC debut. Obviously, people know more about Patrick. He has 8 KO wins, 3 subs, 6 decisions. But Bobby, he has 15 KO wins, 4 by submission and 5 by decision. So break down this fight real quick.
Well, we got Patrick Cote, former title contender for middleweight, and he's the very first guy that got 3 rounds with Anderson Silva in the UFC, so that's something. But that being said, he is moving down to welterweight. As anything we showed, there's one thing you think about Patrick Cote, it's an iron chin. This guy's never even been rocked, much less hurt. And his last fight, he wasn't only rocked, he got knocked the fuck out. You can say it was illegal blows, but the things that rocked him were illegal. But that fight was over before the illegal stuff even happened, so you can say whatever you want. Not only is the chin in question now, he's going down a weight class, which means he's not going to have the same stamina or the same chin. It's coming against Bobby Volker, who was 4-1 in Strikeforce, although you can argue that because 3 of those fights were with Roger Bowling, which, what you do, you want that. But as an underdog, there is value at plus 155. Am I going to bet it? Hell no. Because this fight's going to be on the feet, and Patrick Cote has been boxing since he can walk. This guy's a monster. But can Bobby win? Hell yes, Bobby can win. Patrick's chin is really suspect, and that's why I don't want to go near this fight, because although Patrick is the favorite, there's a lot of what ifs.
Exactly. Do you think if Patrick loses, he'll get cut?
I think that's more than possible. I think he just played horrible fight IQ against Kung Lee. I think he had the superior cardio in the 3rd round, and I picked him in that fight because I thought that the old Patrick, Mr. I'm going to throw my right hand till it breaks Patrick, was going to come. But all of a sudden he decided he wanted to wrestle and throw kicks, and he was somebody else and wanted to display what he was capable of. I hope that Patrick comes out and throws nothing but that right hand over and over and over, because that's what he's really good at, and that's how he wins. And it's just, I think short answer, I think he's definitely on the cutting block.
Well, I think the most exciting fights are actually going to happen on the prelims. I don't know why, but I have a feeling that the main card isn't going to be as exciting as the prelims. Usually that's what happens. We'll have amazing fights on one card, and then the prelims or the other card, main card, will suck. So I see a lot of potential for really exciting fights on the prelims, and the main card, it has big names, but I can see a lot of decisions for Saturday night.
I can see decisions across the board.
But alright, but that wraps up this video for the prelims. Now we're going to move over to the main card, and you can check that video out. We'll link it right on from this video.